Okay, welcome back to this next part of the tutorials of programming with Cocos2dx and Android Studio. And in this tutorial, we're going to be dealing with multi-resolution, orientation or rotation of devices, and our what's called design view. So let's start figuring out what sort of orientations and that we want to work with. So we're going to do that by being on the standard Android tab here. I'm going to click on there. We're going to go to the test one and we're going to go to the manifest and we're going to visit this file here, this little XML file. And in here, you can see by default, it seems to have a screen orientation of landscape. Yeah. We can type in P and hopefully it will give us portrait. So you're going to need to start working out, is your program going to be portrait? Is it going to be landscape? Yeah. Now there are other things you can do here. You can do what's called the sensor. So let's say I only want to work in landscape only, but I would like it to rotate to whatever I would like. So now I'm telling this I want it in landscape mode, but with the sensor. So if the sensor's pointing down here, it will rotate to here. Let's I'll run it on here so you can see. If I run it on this here, you'll see that it runs it there. And then if I rotate and I rotate again, you'll see that it flips around. Yeah. There we go. It does it for us. Or if I wanted to do it with a sensor all the way, it will just flip it all to whatever direction we're going to. You're going to have to realign a little bit, but that's what we're coming to. See, if I go to there, it rotates, and go to there, rotates, go to there, rotates again. So we could have that. But we're going to go for sensor landscape for now. And the same will happen with my hardware in the top left hand corner. So now we have it landscape, and as I said, we're now back to there. If I turn it there, boom, boom. Cool. So that's in the screen orientations and the Android manifest. That's that part done. So now you've sorted the first part out of your project, which is the type of orientation that you would like. There are various ones in there, as I said, sensor or user, because of whatever they want to do, or full user or full sensor, whatever you want to do, you can go and specify it there. But we're going to do sensor landscape. Okay, so we're working with landscape, but if it turns upside down, it's not a problem. Okay, so moving on. So now we're going to start moving on to our design resolution, which is in our app delegate there. Now, before I come to that, you'll see that in the top left hand corner, I have hardware, which is running one sort of resolution. But as you can see, there's a sprite in the middle of the screen. And whereas down here on the emulation here, I'm running another resolution, and if I look at that resolution, you'll see that it's 1260 by 1800. I believe my hardware device is 2000 by 900 or something. I'm not quite sure. I'm not going to go that deep into it and get the details, but they're two entirely different resolutions. But as you can see, the sprite is in the middle of the screen of both of them. So we're going to figure out how we do that. But first, let's go and choose the resolution that we want to work at. So we're going to do that by jumping into the app delegate. And the default for the app delegate here for both devices that we're working with is 480 by 320. Now, it's okay to work at that. As you can see, it's up and it's running. That's all right, but I'm going to up mine to, well, in fact, let's use this number here. Let's use this larger one. You can put 4K in there or whatever you want to do. As you can see, the default, the hello world and all that there. Now let's paste in this, what they've got here as default. Run that on the pixel, or this virtual pixel. And you're going to see that everything's been all rescaled and stuff, but we're now running at this resolution. Well, okay, let's try it on my hardware. So we're going to run this same there, and you're going to see that it scales everything perfectly. We've got things, everything symmetrical in the center where it's supposed to be. So that right now is going to be my design resolution. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be working with. So you don't really got to worry, because if you can go up, if you've got a 4K device, put 4K in there if you want. It doesn't matter if you come back to my device, because it will rescale everything automatically for us to 4K on my device, except for really my device doesn't go there. It just resizes, you know, or zooms out to the correct parameters that we need in order to run at 4K, even though I'm running it on a device that only does 2000 pixels wide. So strange, I know, but they're just zooming out. They've done something and shrunk it down. So that's how it's working. So now what we need to do is we now need to come down here to where it says our design resolution, because I need to explain what's going on here. Now, what's actually happening here is you see this resolution policy. Well, there's various different ones which you can go and experiment with. So let's say we wanted an exact fit or height or width. You can go and do all of that. We've got it on no border at the moment, but let's go and do an exact fit for now and rerun it on my hardware. And then if you go and look at the sprite, you're going to see that the sprite has been squished because of its obeying to our policy. Can you see now how that sprite has been squished down? Yeah, it's not quite fitting. So basically what we want to do is we want to leave this on default, which is no border. Now what that means is for other hardware devices that's smaller than the resolution that I'm going for, there's going to be a bit of overhang. Yeah, but it's running everything perfectly. So I'll run that again on my device. Yeah, so even though I can't get to that resolution at all on my device, because I think it only goes 900 here, it can do it by scaling. So our design resolution is scaled for us automatically. So that's our design resolution set and scaling. So let's have a look and see what's going on here. So here's a picture. Let's just say all this black area is my hardware device, and this is the overhang. Yeah. Now we'll have a little think about this, because of really the center of my screen is here and here. And as you can see, that's not where my screen is down here. We've got some overhang of extra pixels and stuff, you know, depending on what we're going for. We're going to see that later on when I go into the debugger. But we're going to come and look at a couple of functions that sorts this out for us, because we only want to know what's going on our screen here. We don't want to set something that's down here when it should be I'm looking for the center of the screen here. This is really the center of the screen, but in actual physical wear, the center of the screen is around here. Yeah, but as you can see, the Cocos icon appears around here. So let's go and have a look at that. Okay, so that's our design, our app delegate part. So we'll close that now because that's all sorted. I'm going to close our manifest, get rid of that, and then we're going to go on to our hello world scene. So double clicking on there, we now look at our hello world scene, and we come down to this hello world and the init. Yeah, and it says init the scene, and if it can't init it, return. Then it comes to these next two functions that are very important to us aligning sprites and text and all that good stuff in the engine. And as you can see, it says visible size and origin. So visible size, this is our visible size of the screen, not this overhang that's hanging down from our app delegate there, where I think my system can only reach 900, but in our app delegate I said I wanted it 1536 pixels. Well, it can't reach there. Okay, don't worry, we'll come back to that. So I want to know what the visible size is and where the origin of my 0 point is. So 00 here is different on this hardware because it's a bigger screen, whereas 00 on this hardware here, sorry, this was software, this is an emulator, and my hardware here, 00 is at a different place. We'll have a look at that in the debugger. So we're going to get rid of all of this code just for now. We're going to delete the whole lot just to make it a bit simpler. So we've just got our visible size and our origin. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create our first sprite and put it on the screen right where it is right now in the middle. So first of all, I'm going to copy this sprite here. I'll make a copy of that. I'm going to go into our directory of our documents where my test is, and then the resource, and I'm going to paste that in, and it just says cross.png, and it's just a small image file which basically has these lines down it. So this is the center, so you can see what's going on, because you're going to see whether things are off center or not. So I've pasted that now into the directory there of test resources. Yeah, it's there. Okay, now we're going to go back to our compiler and we're going to create our first sprite. And the way we're going to do that, we're going to do an AUTO, or you can just do with an uppercase S, SPRITE. Yeah, oh, no, let's SPR. Right, a sprite, I'm just going to call it SPRITE. I'm going to say equals a SPR. This is getting technical, isn't it? We're going to do 2 dots and we're going to say create, and we're going to give it a file name. And it's going to pick that up from our resource directory there. Yeah, it's going to pick that one up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put it into the engine, because at the moment all that's in the engine is just a camera, and that's about it, isn't it? I think there's only just a camera running in there, it isn't doing anything. So now let's add this to our scene, and how we're going to do that is we're going to say add child, and we're going to add this sprite. Now it's the only sprite in there. Now let's just click run. Oh, actually, let's do it on the emulator. Now we're just going to click run on that and see where it is at the moment, and then we're going to manipulate it. So it isn't really anywhere on there. Okay, let's see where it lands up on the hardware. So I've loaded the sprite, I've added it. Let's see what happens on my hardware, and nowhere to be seen, not in the scene whatsoever. Okay, so it's floating around somewhere, so let's try and get this sprite into a position, and we're going to get that into the middle of the screen by simply doing the sprite and set the position, and it wants an X and a Y. Now let's start off with the origin, because we're looking for 0 0, this bottom here, but we don't know what it is here because of their different screen resolutions from the emulator to this one. But let's go and get the origin of it. So we're going to do the origin.x of where it sort of starts to the origin of y. Okay, let's go and run that. See where that goes. Oh dear, not looking good. Let me run it on the pixel thing here. All right, and as you can see, we're starting to see the beginning of it. We're starting to actually, if I zoom in there, which is why I wanted to use this, you can zoom it a bit more and I don't got to mess around. Ah, there you are. You can start seeing where it is. We're seeing this top quarter here of this. So the origin for my 0, 0, as you can see, from the center, yeah, because we always work from the center of a sprite. Yeah, we'll come to that later on, advanced sprites and stuff. But for now, we're just trying to get this into the middle. We're going to get it to the right, get it to the top, get it to the bottom, move it to the left. I just want you to know positioning for all different types and size of multi-resolutions at the moment. So we've got the origin X and the origin Y. Now, the thing is that the sprite is 50 pixels by 50 pixels. So I could shift it over and say plus 50. Yeah, and plus 50. Am I going plus upwards or plus downwards? I might have to put this on a minus. Hold on. Let's rebuild that. No, we're cool. Right. So there we go. Actually, that's too much. It's meant to be half of that. Sorry, I just explained half of it and I've done it by 50. Right, 25 by 25 will put us down into the bottom left-hand corner. So that's what origin does. Origin finds us our original. There we are, right there in the bottom left-hand corner. Let's go 1 to 1 there. Yeah. And now let's run that on the hardware. Now remember, it's a different resolution, but we set our design resolution and let's see what happens now. This has gone to the bottom left hand corner. Now let's have a look on this hardware here. Hopefully it's running. Oh, sorry, it's gone to snooze. There we are, and there it is in the bottom left hand corner there running. Sorry, I'll run that again. It's hard to see, I know. There it is there. Right, just above, underneath the text there, same as this underneath the text. I'm very sorry, it's a bit hard to line up and say that that's the bottom left hand corner. Okay, so what's the visible size do then? Well, let's add that. Let's do a visible, so let's do the visible size dot width. We want to know what the width of the screen is. And I'm going to say minus 25, half of the sprite. This is not the correct way, but we'll sort this out in a second. I'll show you how to sort this out. We're doing all alignments and that at the moment. So let's do that, see where that goes. And you should see that it turns up exactly at the bottom corner right-hand side. Again, I'll run that on the pixel. It's not a fluke. It's just the way it works. So there we are, it's down over here in the bottom right hand side now, minus the 25, half of our sprite. So do we see what visible width does? So we have a visible width. Now we have the origin plus a visible height. And I think I need to say minus 25 because I want to know what the top is now. So where is the top? So it should be in this top right hand corner, absolutely perfectly. Oh, I've probably got it wrong, but hey ho. There we go. Perfectly there. Okay, what about a different resolution on my system? Let's have a look. So this should now change to the top right hand side. And I think you're now starting to see how we align things on our screen here. I'm gonna have to move it over. Sorry, you can't see that. There it is. Oh, my camera angle's weird. I'm very sorry. It is there. There it is. Little box, top right hand corner. Right. Okay. So how do we get it to the center of the screen? Well, let's take out origin. We'll take out visible width. divided by 2, which is half of the screen. And the same for here, divided by 2 from the height of the visible part of the screen, not the overhang. And then we'll run into some debug and we'll show what's going on a little bit more. I'll put it on the emulator again, and we should see that square right smack bang in the middle of the screen, which it is. Now, I'm going to rerun that again to this line here. I showed you debugging in the first tutorial, so we're going to stop it all. And we're going to run the debug on that. Let this start up, may take a second. And when we look at the visible size here, you can see I asked for a different size than that. We've got our 2048 from our app delegate. See, I asked for 2048, but I asked for 15.36 pixels, and it's only given us this. So it's worked out what the difference is. Now, let's do that same thing on my Samsung, which again is a different resolution. So it's 1440 for the height. Let it pick up the debugger on that. What's it doing there? Let me put this into thingy. Let it run. Right, let's have a look at the visible size there. Oh, look. On my device, I've got my 2048, but look, now it's 1228.8. So you can see that they're sort of different resolutions and that, but Cocos is able to handle the positioning by simply using these two functions, our visible size and our origin, where our actual 00 is. So when we say origin, we're saying, oh, it could be, 5 or 20 pixels in. And that's basically how we handle our design resolution and manipulation of all the sprites and that to get them into their correct place. So that should cover just about everything that you need to know about design resolution. I mean, that's the first thing that you need to set up. Deciding, what rotation you want, what you want to work with, what's the scale you want to work on, and how to manipulate all the sprites, text, everything else you need to do to get it into the correct position for every different type of multi-screen resolution. So let's cut it there. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it's given you an understanding, and I hope you now understand the difference between origin, which is our 00 for our device that you've made up in different scales, and the visible size, i.e. visible size where our screen is, not what's overhanging down below, because as you could see, they were two different sizes from two different machines, but we still managed to plant our sprite in the middle, to the right, to the left, exactly perfect, using the visible size and origin. So that's all there is to our design resolution. So I'm going to cut it there, say thank you very much, and like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I will see you in the next video.